On a larger level, I'm getting right to the point. Let's just jump right on to it. Each one of us, we have a physical body. We have a mental body, partially made into our brain. We have a soul body, our inner vision, our third eye, and we have a spirit body. That soul body, my brothers and sisters, I would submit to you, is your nano-diamond black hole that exists right above your pineal gland in your third ventricle, that's able to move like a black hole in time and space through wormholes, through any dimension in the living galaxy, the cosmos, if you will. So the fact that we can have these extrasensory powers, this inner vision, speaks to the ability of the black mind to bond with its nano-diamond core and to move through space and time and to commune with the divine and to commune with other gods and goddesses, and that can only mean one thing, that we are angels in a physical body. The psychosis is the failure to embrace that. The psychosis is the failure to embrace that, and the false belief that your life ceases when you drop your physical body. Here you are with an immortal, nano-diamond soul spirit. It's made of, a nuclear bomb can't touch it. It's at the core of a star where nuclear bombs go off every microsecond. It's giving birth to them. That's how potent it is. That's how potent we are. Even that cracker who calls himself white has the same condition. And he or she, I would submit, one of the great paranoias today. Can you imagine somebody who's colonized history and lied like hell about it and got all these false lies and religions and the so-called distortions, and people are beginning to travel all around the world and see it for themselves what we all came from? You can travel to Israel and see the black Hebrews who made up the roots, and it ain't like the Ashkenazi Jews. You can travel to Kemet and go into Tuapeki II and see a black pharaoh standing at the bottom of the entranceway when you walk on down the Saqqara. You can see it for yourself. You can go to places like Rwanda and Burundi and see the ancient tombs that are there that are even older than Ethiopia. You can see in Kuliland the origins of what later became Ethiopia and what later became Egypt, much later in the day. I submit to you, brothers and sisters, that this person who calls himself a European African is damn afraid to go into space. Why? Because he has to face all of that black stuff out there. And this shit is small time compared to that. And we all have a memory. So here we are living, we've lived, and we have, again, your individual mind is like a hill anchored in space, and you're able to draw from your collective ancestral memories, and you can draw from your memories about who have made you up. You can also, if you meditate deeply enough, you can project and see where you will be several lifetimes from now. Because you have, I'm going to put things on the board to show again that when we talk about our views of reality, it is this European African who imposes a lie and a psychosis, and he gets us all to go along with it out of the fear that you won't get paid. You won't get bread on your table. You might go to jail, or you might be ostracized. You won't get paid if you don't buy his or her package. But I submit to you, brothers and sisters, do what you gotta do. Give to Caesar what Caesar wants. talk that talk and go over here and do your thing. You know, you can be double, triple dimensional in a minute. In a minute, you know, you ain't got to buy it. You said, I want to say, yeah, I speak that kind of language. Well, here, don't get trapped in believing you got to, quote, stand here out of principle. Principle is live and pass your seed on, but don't sell. There's some things you get caught on, you do have to throw down on. But you can kind of see it coming before that time comes. And when that time comes, nobody can tell me how you're going to act when that time comes, because some of the braves of the brave pee in their pants. And some of the people that you don't think can stand up, shock themselves. I look for consistency. I don't know how you will act when that moment is called upon for you to, quote, stand tall and to deal like you got to deal. To be certain, you won't be dealing alone. Because we talk about, when it says in the Stolen Legacy, that these three grades of students, again, let's give you some examples. In the year 500 BC, a man named Solon, a Greek from Athens, who supposedly developed the laws of democracy and set up the first democratic republic in Athens. That's a lie. Because democracy was being practiced in Kemet. Democracy was being practiced in Ethiopia and Uganda thousands of years before that. So when Solon began to sit up in the university, one of the university buildings, and tried to brag about how much he knew, in other words, he was feeling insecure, sitting on all these black giants. You know what white folks do. They want to start acting, trying to show off. They're feeling insecure, try to dominate. Man, come on, here we go again. So he ran off of the mouth, started all that he knew. And then the oldest one amongst them, who was always the high priest, stood up and said, Solon, you Greeks are always children. That means that he had defined that they had only reached a certain level of psychological development, and they were stuck at a certain phase. In the book, entitled the book on the Nile Valley, that was put out by Insertum in 1985 when he had a big conference in Atlanta, there was one of the chapters that was written by Naim Akbar. Naim Akbar said that the European culture had gone through a de-evolution. They had gone backwards. They had lost sight of their duty to humanity. Now let's put this in perspective. When they were allowed to have control of certain material wealth, because North Africa turned into a desert, the ice had melted in southern Europe, and that allowed them to flourish. That was a cosmic condition of temporary duration only. But during that time when Rome came up, Greece came up, and all those things, it's important to keep in mind that they had gone a de-evolution. And he said this de-evolution had two aspects. One, it involved sexism, in which Europeans had a mortal fear of the feminine world and was very, very afraid of the feminine factor, their own emotions, and the woman's role, and sheer power. But we also know it was deathly afraid of black folks. Deathly afraid. So de-evolution is one, a fear of their own right brain and a fear of their own African ancestry. Common drift. Well, let's go back. Solon was said to be that. Africans said, we have a different model. And our model, we know there are at least three stages of development. One stage is that of the neophyte, in which you learn about nature, but you're still a neophyte. You're a rookie. You're undeveloped. And that's called neophyte. So at best, white folks stop at the neophyte level. Neophyte. What is the hallmark of the next two?